Okay, we are recording. We're live on Zoom. Way to go. Okay, so last week we were fortunate enough to have Tony Smith on, Mike Ferry coach, agent, speaker, now the vice president of the Mike Ferry organization. He was going over options that you have and variety of other different things. And at the end, he opened it up for questions. And what I noticed was all the questions that he got and all the comments in the chat box, for the most part, around two things: time management and mindset. Those are the two things that got brought to Tony's attention, was time management, mindset. So I, decided that today we were going to talk about time management, and Wednesday we are going to talk about mindset. So that was kind of where we got the topics for today. So let's talk a little bit about time management. So by either putting a 1 in the chat box or show of hands, how many of you, be honest, think that time management is something that you could use some improvement on? Either raise your hand or 1 in the chat box. All right, so Tim and Maricela, I'm glad you're here. Being that apparently you're the only two. Okay, there we go. There we go. There's some chat box. All right. Okay. Got it. All right. Present company included, right? Okay. We all could use a little bit of help in time management, things like that. So let's jump into this. I wrote down, I got like 3 pages worth of notes in like 11 font. We're not going to get through all of this, but hopefully some of the stuff we talk about is there's 1 or 2 things that might be helpful for you. I'm sure some of this is things you've heard before, but let's go ahead and jump into this. So the first thing I wrote down here on time management is management may be one of 3 things, actually. If you think you have a time management issue, not issue, seems like you have a major problem. If you think you could improve on time management, could be one of 3 things. Okay. So it could be number 1, that you really just need to improve on your time management. Okay? That could be number 1. Or it could be number 2, that you really don't need to improve your, you actually need assistance. Like you need an assistant, or in some cases you might need a buyer's agent, something along those. It is very rarely the case. You don't have a lot of teams, okay? But it could be, that does happen, where it's just, you just really do need an assistant. Or it could be number 3, you don't need time management improvement, you need motivation. So I wrote the question on here, do you have a time management problem or a motivation problem? Which brings me to the next question below that. I wrote, do you want to be busy or do you want to appear to be busy? And this question, because some people want to actually be busy, have transactions and have all these different things going on. Some people want to appear to be busy to either make themselves feel better, that they feel like they're accomplishing a lot, or they want to make the people that they're leaving at home feel better because they want to feel like they're out accomplishing a lot. And some people want to feel busy, so when they get on the coaching call, they can explain all the things that they're doing. Okay, no jokes. This is all real things that we have going on. So we have to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves these questions before we consider, thank you, Valerie, I did a great job. Do we really have a time management something that we need to work on, or is it one of the other issues? Okay. Now, if you think that it's not a time management problem, that you really do need an assistant, or you need some other type of buyer's agent or something like that, what I would recommend you doing before you hire anyone is meet with myself or Neil or Cindy, someone who can kind of help you guide through some of your day-to-day stuff. And maybe you really do need an assistant, and maybe it's more of a time. So before you hire anyone, I'd do that. All right. So, but that's the start. That's really what it comes down to start. Okay. So the thing I wrote down below here is the most important well, let me back up. Time management is about self-discipline. Time management is about self-discipline. And the most important point about self-discipline is that it is a habit that you can learn with practice and repetition. For time management, being that it is part of self-discipline, is something that you can learn with repetition. But I wrote this down here. Time management is not an optional course. If you want to improve your time management, if you want to be better at time management, it's not a, well, I feel like having good time management. You know, it has to be a consistent thing. Now, they say on average, it takes approximately 21 days of repetition without exception to develop a habit successfully. Now, sometimes you can develop it faster. Sometimes it may take longer. On average, it takes about 21 days. So what I wrote down here just to start is, before we go any further, is commit to 21 days of time management. Commit to a 21-day habit of working on your time management, because if it approximately takes 21 days of repetition, exception, to develop a habit successfully, then let's create time management as a habit, and let's commit to 21 days of repetition time management. Okay. So that's kind of the basis of a little bit of what we're talking about today. So how do we develop more about time management? So this is where I wrote down a bunch of different things to helping out with time management in general. So the first thing I wrote down here in time management is that everything has to be written down. Your schedule has to be written down. It has to be multiple places. Now, to be really successful with time management, everything has to go in the schedule, even the minor details. Because you ever something minor, and that minor miss cost you hours to make up, hours to fix. Oh my gosh, I forgot to call this person because I didn't put in the specifics of calling this person. Everything has to go in there. So let me share to give you an example. Okay. Let me give you an example. So let me share my calendar with you. Okay. So here's my calendar. Okay. So reds are coaching calls, oranges are meetings, yellows are recruiting, all these other different things. But you'll notice here that everything is time blocked, but even the most minor things are in there. Okay. Right. Motivational voicemails. It's in there. Okay. It's like something I have to do every week, but even that's in there. Okay. Things along those lines. We have to keep a wins thing. I write my wins thing on Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Like stuff I'm going to do anyways, but it's the minor stuff in there. Well, of course I'm going to prepare for the meeting. Yeah, but prepare for the meetings also in the calendar, because I can't afford to miss any of these little things. Okay, so your calendar really has to have everything in it, every little nuance in there. Okay, has to be in the calendar. Now, here's the other thing about your calendar: only one calendar. Not if you really want to screw up your time management, have two calendars. Well, I have a work calendar and a personal calendar. That will not end well. And if you're married, it will not end well at all. Why? Because I guarantee you, at least once in your life, you will set a listing appointment on your anniversary. Guaranteed. At one point, you will do it. You will set a showing for a buyer in the middle of your kid's birthday party because you didn't realize it was on the other calendar. That at some point in your life, if you don't have just one calendar. So, I mean, even the basics: what time do you get up? What time do you get ready for work? What time are you preparing for? What time are you spending time with your family, right? Family time. All these other different things. Put it all in there. Put it all in the calendar, okay? You can absolutely do that. Now, again, one calendar. So nothing personal and business, everything goes into one. So that way, when you get that call for that listing appointment and you go, okay, yeah, Saturday at 2 o'clock, and you look at your calendar and go, actually Saturday at 2 o'clock is my anniversary. I'm going to be gone for the weekend. You can reschedule that or try to get that listing presentation sooner. Will it be easier to reschedule the listing presentation or reschedule the listing presentation? Okay, for those of you who aren't sure, it's the listing presentation. Okay, if you reschedule your anniversary, you'll be able to go on as many listing presentations as you want. Yes, Elizabeth.
Do you have a backup paper calendar?
No.
No, just one. Okay, thanks.
I just have one. Now that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Some people do both. I know Jack has an online calendar, has a daily planner. That seems like too much work for me. Works for him. But one calendar fits all for everything, for private, for personal, business, the whole thing. Everything has to go in the calendar. Okay, that's the biggie in all that. Now down here, the next thing is every minute spent in planning saves execution. Every minute spent in saves 10 minutes in execution. If you want to get better at time management, get better at planning your day, planning your week, planning your month. The more you plan, the better you use your time and the more you accomplish. The biggest issue we have with time management is not distractions. The biggest issue we have with time management is not distractions. The biggest issue we have with time management is I don't know what I should do now. That's the biggest issue we have with time management. And it could be something as simple as, well, I've time blocked prospecting, so I know I'm supposed to be prospecting. But the biggest issue with time management there is, do you know who you're calling? Do you have the numbers already uploaded? Do you have your phone ready to go? Do you have your list prepared? If you're using a dialer system, is that ready to go? Once you run out of these numbers, do you know who you're calling next? If you're going door knocking, do you know where you're going door knocking? Do you already have the flyers ready to go? Are they already created? That's the biggest issue we have with time management. It's not distractions. It's what am I supposed to do now? And then, oh my gosh, I know what I'm supposed to do now, but I'm not prepared. Every minute spent in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. The more you plan, the better you use your time. Because once you have that all figured out, now you're prospecting, for example, in this particular example, 3 hours of prospecting truly becomes 3 hours of prospecting because you have your dialer, you have your numbers, and as soon as you run out of these numbers, boom, I got this next one. As soon as I run out of these, boom, I got this one. If you don't do that, I'll bet your 3 hours of prospecting is really only about an hour to an hour for prospecting because you're spending so much time getting ready or preparing or getting the new list or the new script. Every minute spent planning saves 10 minutes in execution. Okay. I wrote down here, in terms of planning, plan out your week. Plan out your week in advance. What I mean by that is plan out where you're going to be. What days are you going to the office? If it's every day, fine. If it's not every day, what days are you going to the office? What are you going to wear? You should never get up in the morning and go, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to wear today. You should already know what you're going to wear. You should know what you're going to have for breakfast. You should know if you're bringing lunch or if you're going out for lunch. You should know all these things. Because if you get too scattered in the morning trying to figure out the basics of things like that, it's going to carry on for the rest of your day. Plan ahead will save you all kinds of time, effort, and energy when it comes to your time management. Where am I going to be? Who am I going to talk to? What are my appointments? What are my leads? Okay. I wrote down here, begin by making a list of everything that you have to do. The best time to write your daily list is the night before. How many times have we heard that one, right? The morning starts the night before. The best time to write your daily list is the night before so that your subconscious can work on it while you sleep. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes, but write out your list. What do I have to do tomorrow? Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now, one of the things that I do is so I don't have to constantly write out a new list is I just have a Google Doc called my daily to-do. So as something gets done, it's deleted off of that. And as something gets added, add it to it. But the night before, review, okay, these are the things that I have to get done. And then organize the list by priority before you start working. Because not everything deserves equal attention. So organize the list by priority. It's by priority, not by the order of which it came in. Time management is by priority, not in the order of which it came in. Here's what I mean. Something comes in right now, or something came in last night that was not that important, but something I have to get done. Something comes in right now that's super important that has to get done. Well, this one's new, but I'm going to do this one first because the priority is higher. This is not a first in, first out basis. This is all by priority. Because the larger items, the larger the priority, the more it weighs on you psychologically. So the longer it goes to getting done, the heavier it's going to get, which means you're not going to be completely focused on your other tasks, which means those tasks are then going to take longer, and then you have a bigger time management problem. You ever been in a situation where you're avoiding calling somebody back because you have bad news? Ever run into a situation like that? You don't want to call the seller back that the appraisal came in short. You don't want to call the buyer back that the seller countered with something else. You don't want to, you screwed up something, which happens to everybody. It's not a big deal. And you don't want to call the client because you don't want to give them the bad news. And that just weighs on you all day. And all the tasks you did up to that point were probably not done very well. You have a time management issue. Get them done in priority. I wrote down here with that, get your hardest and most important tasks done in the morning. Get the hardest and most important task done in the morning. So here's the basic idea of that. When do you typically have the highest energy and motivation? Okay, see a couple of you say the morning, right? Okay, so here's the deal. In the morning, you're here. Your hardest and most important tasks are here, okay? So you can get them done. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, your tasks are still up here, but now your energy and motivation's down here. Which means you're either A, not going to have enough energy and motivation to complete this task, or B, you're going to do it, but you're going to do it very poorly. There's no reason to do your hardest task very poorly or push off to tomorrow. That's why we talk about prospecting in the morning. Because at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you don't have the energy and motivation for the most part to prospect every day. But you might have it at 9 o'clock. That's why you should do your lead follow-up in the morning as well. It's your most important task. Why do lead follow-up after you've been rejected 30 times and you're beat up? That doesn't make any sense. Do your lead follow-up in the morning. Call your database the people who make you the most money in the morning when you have most energy and excitement. Don't save your energy and excitement for an expired listing that's going to hang up on you and then be low energy and low motivation for your database that refers you business. That's just not great use of time management. So do your hardest and most important task in the morning so you can get your hardest and most important task in line when you have the most energy and motivation. I wrote down here, practice the 80-20 rule, which says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. So some homework for you, which activities generate the most results? Now everybody's different. That's not a rhetorical question. For some of you, it could be door knocking. For some of you, it could be phone calling. For some of you, it could be calling expireds. For some of you, it could be calling for rent by owners. For some of you, it could be database. For some of you, it could be text messages. For some of it, blah, 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 blah. What are the activities that generate the most results? And then make sure 80% of your day is based around those 20% of those activities. I'm sorry. That way, your time management is focused on results driven. I wrote down here, you can prioritize your task list. Now, this is a Brian Tracy thing where he does the ABCDE method to set priorities. So when you put a task, every time you have a new task or new item you have to do, write down A, B, C, D, or E next to it. A equals must do, which means there's serious consequences for non-completion. B equals a should do, which means there's mild consequences for non-completion. C equals nice to do. There's no consequence for completion, but it would be nice to get it done. D means it has to be delegated. Has to be delegated to somebody else. And E is eliminate, which means you just completely ignore it, get rid of it so you can free up more time. So every time you get a task, every time a client calls you with something or texts you with something or emails you with something, put an A, B, C, D, E next to it. And then decide what you should do with it. And then obviously, as you can imagine, do all your A's first. A1, A2, A3. Work on getting those done first before you go on to anything else. But with that method, I wrote down here, learn to say no more often. To improve your time management, learn to say no more often. Now, here's what I mean. Let me share something with you. Share this with you. I got this idea from a guy named Derek Sivers. Okay. So, and this was from the book, The Tools of Titans, Tim Ferriss book. Okay. And he wrote down, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Okay. So look, I'll read exactly what he says here. He says, it was time to book a ticket for a trip that I committed a long time ago. And I was thinking, I really don't want to go on this trip right now. I'm busy with other stuff. I was on the phone with my friend who's a brilliant musician. I was laminating about this. She's the one who pointed out, it sounds like your decision is between yes and no. You need to figure out whether you're feeling like a hell yeah or no. And he says, because most of us say yes to too much stuff, and then we let these little mediocre things fill our lives. The problem is when that occasional, oh my God, hell yeah thing comes along, you don't have enough time to give it the attention that you should, because you've said yes to too much other little stuff. Once I started applying this, my life just opened up. Learn to say no to the mediocre, non-important stuff so that you can say hell yeah to the things that are really important or really cool. Because the problem is we bog ourselves down with too much mediocre stuff. We need to spend more time on the hell yes and less time on those. Learn to say no more often. This is probably, for some of you, one of the biggest things that's going to help you with time management. Especially if you're an amiable, because you say yes. Well, can you just do this for me? Can you just do this for me? Can you just, yeah. And then your task list grows crazy and you're doing all these little things. And remember, it may not be hard work, but it's time consuming and it's energy consuming. Well, yeah, okay, I just got to run some numbers for these people, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay. It's not really hard work, but how much time, energy, how much focus went in on there? When by doing that, you missed out on a conversation, a phone call, a text message, an email, where you could have connected with someone who gave you a hell yeah opportunity. Like, I want to list my house. Do you think now's a good time to sell? Hell yeah. but I missed that call because I was doing so much mediocre stuff by saying yes too much. I wrote down underneath here, this is something that I've always implemented in my life. If it takes 5 minutes or less, get it done. If it takes more than 5 minutes, decide if it's worth it. So an example of that would be client wants to, hey, can you run some comps in my area? I just an idea of what my home is worth. Okay, great. When do you plan on selling? Oh, we're probably not selling for a couple of years. I just want to get an idea. Okay, take me more than 5 minutes. I'm not going to spend time on that for someone who's not selling for a couple of years. Because I don't want to provide good service, but right now it's not important to me. I'll just give you a bare idea of what the housing market's like in your area. Because if by spending time with me doing that, I'm missing out on the person that wants to sell today. We've got to learn to say no more often if we want to get better at our time management. I wrote down here in time management, you have to review your business plan on a weekly basis. You have to review your business plan on a weekly basis. So for some of you, the business plan is this, document that we gave you in January. And it had things on there like what you want to accomplish and what you're going to do. Some of you saw it. Some of you filled it out. Some of you completely ignored us when we sent it to you. Some of you filled it out and haven't seen it since. And some of you look at it every day, which is great. Okay. But all jokes aside, if you don't know where your business plan is, find it. If you can't find it or don't want to look for it, let me know. We'll send you another one. But you need to review your business plan on a weekly basis. I wrote down here, if you don't have a plan, you don't know where to go. If you don't have a plan, you don't know where to go. If you don't review your plan, you don't know where you're going. And remember, the biggest problem with time management is not distraction. It's what am I supposed to do now? What should I do now? If you don't have a plan, you don't know where to go. If you don't review your plan, you don't know where you're going. You have to review your business plan on a basis. This is more tied to the motivation aspect. Remember at the very beginning, do you have a time management problem or do you have a motivation problem? Because your motivation could solve your time management problem. And if you review your business plan on a weekly basis, that could keep you motivated to do the tasks that you need to do. Okay. We talked about having a schedule. Okay. Now here's the thing. Having a schedule is by far the hardest thing to do in real estate because you're an independent contractor. Having a schedule is by far the hardest thing to do in real estate because you're an independent contractor. Yet, if you want to have great time management, you need to have a schedule and you need to follow it. If you're having a hard time putting together a schedule, get with your coach and they'll work with you on it. Okay. Don't let your ego get in the way of asking for help. Well, I don't want to ask them to help with my schedule. I feel like I should know this. So what? Ask your coach for help on putting together a schedule that fits you, because not every schedule we put together fits everybody. Not the schedule, Mike Ferry gives a basic schedule of what a real estate agent should do. That might not fit you. So if you need help putting together a schedule, get with your coach. Will help you put together a schedule. Okay. But I put down here under what are your common distractions? What are your common distractions that get you off of time management? What are the common distractions that get you off time management? And then write down what is your plan to prevent them from happening again? I think your phone being your biggest distraction is the lamest excuse you can make. That's just my biggest truth. I think when you say, well, my phone is my biggest distraction, that is lame. I'm sorry. Why is that lame? Because it's probably been that way since day one. Okay. Well, my phone's my biggest distraction. I get so many text messages. How long's that been going on for? Well, text messages started in 2002. So about 19 years. Okay. or whatever text messages started. Okay. Your phone is not your biggest distraction. If your phone is your biggest distraction, you have a motivation problem. If your phone is your biggest distraction, you are in that boat of, I want to appear to be busy and but not be busy. Because your phone's always going to be a distraction. You're always going to get phone calls. You're always going to get text messages. You're always going to get pings. You're always going to get those things. If you're not getting those things, you should be concerned about, one, where are your clients? Two, where are your friends? Family or somebody, you know what I mean? So your phone's always going to be a distraction. You can't use your phone as a distraction, especially if you're using your phone to dial. A lot of you use your cell phone to dial, which is fine. Well, then you can't also say your phone's also your biggest distraction. So get rid of that right now. Okay. I don't want to hear, well, my distraction is my phone. That's ridiculous. Okay. Now it could be that social media is a distraction. Okay. Well, that's on something that how do you prevent yourself from going to social media every 20 minutes, 30 minutes to see if anyone liked your post or pinged your post or something like that. Okay. That's the thing. But you can do that from your computer or your phone. What are your biggest distractions? Well, I'm talking to people when I go to the office, I haven't seen people in a long time. So we're talking, we're having a good chat. It takes me off my, okay, write that down. How are you going to get past that? You have to figure out your biggest distractions and then identify what are you going to do to prevent your distractions from happening again. Okay, but you can't use your phone. It's too late. Okay. Turn off your notifications. Every time you get a tweet or a Facebook thing or something, your phone, oh, you got someone liked your post. Turn off your notifications. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. But you can't use your phone. Identify your distractions. Identify your distractions. Wrote down here, time management, delegate. You have to delegate more. And so what I would ask you to do is look at all the things your daily basis and ask yourself, is there someone else that could be / should be doing this better to, or at least equal to what I can do? Is there somebody that can do this task better to or equal to what I can do that can help me? So give you an example. We talk about things like this all the time. Well, I'm just so busy, putting out fires, which is stupid. Okay. I'm busy putting out fires. And I always ask you, like, a real fire? And you say, no, we have a lending problem. Got it. So I'm just curious, when did you become the lender? Oh, I'm not. Then why are you concerned? Why is it soaking up your day? You can call for updates, but you shouldn't be dealing with a lender issue for an hour. You're not the lender. Well, we got to fix this title issue. Okay, great. Is the title rep working on it? Yeah. Okay. Why does it take you away from a whole morning of prospecting? Why didn't you make role play at 8 a.m. because titles were a title issue? Delegate that stuff. You don't need involved. We have transaction coordinators. You have to pay for them. Yeah, but get it done. It's paperwork. It's done. Delegate it. Can they do it better than you? Yes. Or at least equal to? Yes. Let them do the work. Pay the fee. Get it done. Some of you have taken it to that next step where you actually pay people to do your social listings and things like that because it's just too much time, effort, and energy. Okay. Now you have to have certain money to do some of these things, but you can delegate some of these activities. Have your clients talk to the lender about loans. Have them talk to title about title. Have them talk to escrow about escrow. Delegate activities as much as you can. Well, what about photos? Hire a photographer. Okay. You don't need to go out there taking photos. Hire somebody to do those kind of things. You just took a listing that's going to pay you $10,000 to $15,000 in this market in the next 30 days because it's going to sell in 5. Okay. Give a photographer $200. Go out there and take some photos because I can go out and make some more money, make some more calls. I can do while you're taking photos, Mr. Photographer, I'm going to go door knock the neighborhood. Let everyone know about our new listing. See if I can find a buyer or find another deal. Delegate activities. Kills your time management is you think you can do everything better than everybody else, or that you have to do everything. Otherwise, the client thinks you're not doing your job. The client doesn't care who helps them as long as they get the help they need. You think you have to be the one to tell them about the mortgage stuff. No, they don't care. They just want it done. Delegate, 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 delegate. I wrote down here for time management, stop multitasking. Stop multitasking. You're not any good. That's not an offense to you. That's all of us. But two, when you multitask, it's now doubling the amount of time you need to get everything done. If you take one item and focus on this one item, and let's say it takes you 5 minutes, done. And then you move to item B and that takes you 5 minutes. You've now completed both items in 10 minutes. If you're multitasking, I guarantee you those 2 items will take you 20. Stop multitasking. Stop being on the phone and answering emails. Stop answering texts while you're responding to an email. Stop writing up and then also sending an email at the same time. Pick one item, get it done, move on. It kills your time management by multitasking because it doubles the amount of time you need to get stuff done. That's just a fact. Okay, we've done studies on these things. Okay, remember when the guy said, okay, everyone write out the numbers 1 through 26, and everyone writes out the numbers 1 through 26, and the fastest time, I forget, was like 16 seconds or something. Okay, now everyone write out the alphabet, A through Z, and the fastest time was like 22 seconds. It's like, so 16 seconds and 22 seconds combined, write these out in 38 seconds. Now write A1, B2, C3, 4D, correspondent, and it was like a minute and a half. So you could get these two each done total in 38 seconds, but if by combining them together, it took you a minute and a half. Multitasking is killing your time management, killing you. Killing you, killing you, killing you. Okay. I wrote down here, leave buffer time in between tasks. Leave buffer time in between tasks. What that means is that one, if you have a task that's going to be done and you say, okay, I'm setting aside 9:30 to 10 to put together the CMA. I don't know. Let's just say 9 to 10 to put together the CMA. Don't schedule something exactly at 10. Don't schedule a meeting exactly at 10 o'clock. Give yourself 15 minutes to either A, finish that 9 to 10 task, or B, get it finished and then regroup, reorganize before you do your meeting at 10:15 or 10:30. Give yourself a little buffer time in between tasks so you're not rushing along. You're not going from thing to thing, item to item. You also need mental breaks. Management is burnout. And when you burn out, you do nothing, which means all your time management's toast. Leave buffer time in between tasks. Okay. A couple more points here. I wrote down skills and knowledge shorten the time needed to do certain tasks. Skills and knowledge shorten the time needed to task. So what I mean by that is, if your listing presentations are taking 2 hours, you need to work on your listing presentation. Because your listing presentation shouldn't take 2 hours. If your listing presentation takes an hour, you just saved yourself an hour. Now, if your listing presentation only takes 30 minutes, you saved yourself an hour and a half. That will help you get things done faster. Knowing the scripts will get you more contacts because you'll get contacts faster. Not because you're talking fast, but because you're not trying to come up with questions to keep the conversation longer, where one contact might take you 15 seconds and some people it might take 25 seconds. Well, it's only 10 seconds, Robert. Yeah, but do that 30, 40 times a day. And then do that every day, 5 days a week. You're losing time because you don't know the script. So you're making up stuff and you're rambling on. So it's taking you longer to make. Knowing your scripts will get you through these contacts faster and more efficiently. Knowing the listing presentation knowing the presentation will get you through the listing presentation faster. Knowing how to go through InfoSparks or the MLS to get the information on your market faster will help you get product knowledge faster, so you're not spending hours every day trying to figure out what's going on in the marketplace. Knowing what to say, skills and knowledge will help you accomplish certain tasks faster. They help you accomplish tasks faster when somebody asks you what's going on in the neighborhood and you can answer very quickly and you don't have to spend time going up to look it out. Going out to look it up. Man, I'm struggling this last 2 minutes. Skills and knowledge will help you complete certain tasks faster. That will help you with time management. Okay. I wrote down here, make the most of dead time. Make the most of dead time. 3 more points here. Make the most of dead time. What dead time means, help with time management, is when you're driving, be productive. When you're waiting for something, be productive. So I'll give you an example. Remember we had Mike Putnam, we interviewed him, and he was talking about how he got the iPad whole situation in his car because when he sits in traffic, he's making phone calls. He's like, I'm driving, that's 30 minutes. Right there, I do that, a couple days a week. That's an hour and a half of additional prospecting I'm getting. A week. How many more contacts is that a week over the course of a year? Maybe a couple deals. He's making more calls. Okay. When you're waiting for something, life happens. You have to go get your car fixed. For example, you're waiting for them to fix your car. Are you just sitting there reading a magazine, or you're making some prospecting calls? Are you chanting out your scripts? Are you calling your admin to follow up on your deals? Are you reaching out to your clients? Are you answering emails? Or if you're waiting for, the lender to get back to you on an escrow issue, what are you doing while you're waiting? Are you just sitting around waiting? Or are you doing stuff in between? Be productive of that time frame. You have a meeting at 10 o'clock and they call you and say 15 minutes late. What do you do for that 15 minutes? Make the most of your dead time to be more productive with your time management. Get the most out of that. All right. Last 2 points here. Slow down because mistakes cost double or triple the time. Slow down because mistakes cost double or triple the time. Part of our time management issue is we're going so fast that we make mistakes and then we have to go fix those mistakes, which cost double or triple the time. Have to be, as my dad would say, you don't have to be fast, but you have to be quick. And what that means is get your tasks done. I mean, knowledge will help, skills will help move things along quickly, but don't rush it. Don't go too fast to where you're going to make a mistake. Sometimes you have to slow down to make sure you're doing something correctly, because then you screw it up. Let's say you're putting together a CMA and you're like, oh, I'm just trying to rush to get the CMA done. And all of a sudden you miss one of the comps that you wanted on there. Well, now you have to go back and do it. And now that's double or triple the time taken if you just slow down to get it right the first time. Slow down because mistakes cost double or triple the time. And that's where you mess up on time management. That's where it feels like you're spending so much time doing certain things. And then the last thing I put down here to help out with your time management is get organized. Get organized. So here's an interesting stat. According to Forbes magazine, the average American spends 2.5 days each year looking for misplaced items. The average American spends 2.5 days each year looking for misplaced items. As a result, we spend over $2.7 billion annually replacing these items. So instead of wasting both your time and money, get organized. Okay. Start by having a home for everything and making sure that items are put back where they belong. At the end of the day, clean your workspace, make sure everything where it needs to be, because you're spending time searching for things, trying to figure out where some things are, and that's costing you time and money because you're just not organized. So get organized. So look, I've got pages of stuff on time. There's more and more stuff you can find on time management and things along those lines. There was 1 or 2 things in there that you're like, hey, pretty good. That can help me out. It might not have been everything, but implement those types of things. And then the last thing I put down here, Tony Smith talked about this, is challenge you to do a time motion study where every hour you write down what you accomplished for the last hour. And then at the end of the day, take a look and say, how many hours did I really work? What did I really accomplish? That's one of the best exercises you can do for time management. Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right, everybody. That's all I got. Way to go. Thanks for being here. Hopefully, again, there was one or two things that were good for you, and you were able to get something out of that. Cindy's going to be here at 3:30. Before you go, Cindy.